Podcast with Benjamin
and Cassidy, and today we're talking about the decline in quality of video games.
Wow, what a topic.
Yeah.
This is kind of hitting out in left field for us from our first three podcasts, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely.
But it's not something we're unfamiliar with, though.
Oh, no, especially not you.
Oh, shut up.
It's just you play more video games than I do.
This is true, and I would say on average, guys generally play more than girls.
Yeah, I would say
I
that
would
too.
say that that's a good rule of thumb. So I guess the question of decline in video games is what makes a video game good. If we can determine what makes one good, then we can actually talk about what makes one bad.
Yeah. Not a crap ton of glitches. Unless you want it to be like a meme game where it glitches just for fun.
Like Goat Simulator or something like that.
Or that screaming game you showed me.
That's not glitchy.
It's disturbing.
It's struggling. It's a perfect metaphor for life. Alright, listen. So I think as far as what makes a video game good is replayability. It can't be something you pick up once and that's it.
Yeah.
I think there has to be some level of replayability to a degree. Now, with that being said, I love story-driven games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And one of my favorite one that I just finished playing not too long ago was called Night Call. It was an indie game. It's story-driven. And there's only one ending that you can get.
Yeah.
Right? That's correct. Like, there's several endings, yes. But there's only one ending where, it's what you actually want it to be at the end of it.
So one true ending.
Yeah, there's one true ending. And it's very good.
Yeah.
It's better than most AAA games, most big titles, most of these. Oh, yes, the brand new experience of a lifetime. It is simple, it's simplistic, but the story is amazing.
Yeah.
It pulls at your heartstrings. It does all sorts of great things. So I think that's key. It has to have good story, some form of replayability, even if it's very minor.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it used to, if you'd asked me this question several years ago, I would say graphics. But I've come around to the point now where I've noted that graphics don't necessarily make a good game.
Oh, no.
It makes it pleasing to look at. And if you've got a good game behind it, yeah, it's amazing. Because you're just adding extra flavor. It's literally like putting the icing on the cake. It just adds that extra bit of oomph to it. Right, but good story, replayability. And for me personally, I like to see some kind of progression. Right? Not necessarily like a level up system or anything like that, but something that shows that you're progressing through the game. Something that indicates there is change going on.
Yeah. Like some form of indicator, like, whoa, this is getting real, guys.
Yeah, or like time is changing, the scenarios are changing, the scenery is changing. Just very minor things that you would otherwise miss. And I think one of the other most important things to me that makes a great game is an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, definitely.
Right? I think soundtracks make up a majority of what make games good. If you can have a deep story or a deep moment and you have just the right song or soundtrack behind it, you can make it that much more powerful.
It's like cinema, but you're controlling the protagonist.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, we thought about this topic because over the recent years, things have really been going downhill as far as the big companies go.
It really has.
Like,
I think it was a few years ago where, but was it EA? Where they got into so much crap for, I think it was a Star Wars game where...
Yeah, that was EA, Battlefront.
And then you had to pay for literally everything else.
Yeah, that was EA. They remade the famous Star Wars Battlefront series.
Yeah.
And when they did, they put everything behind a giant paywall.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, that's kind of been fixed. But initially, it was just such a bad idea. I don't know who in their right mind thought, yes, let us take a great game and then put it behind a giant paywall.
I mean, they kind of already do that with Sims. Which, I mean, like I said, the declining quality of video games. Because, like, Sims 1, of course, it was the first one. They had a lot to grow, but it was still pretty great. Sims 2 was amazing. They added so much more to the world, and the graphics were that much better. There was a story going on. And then Sims 3 was really glitchy. There were a lot of issues. And Sims 4, like, they took everything that was good about the predecessors, and they just threw it out the window.
Well, yeah, EA is notorious for doing that. EA has been a real problem about this recently, and they've gotten in a lot of trouble. And they've started to try and correct it. It's still very bad for them because they're still all about microtransactions, all about loot boxes and other things. So EA in itself is not doing good in that front. But with that being said, they're not the only ones.
Yeah.
Other big game companies like Ubisoft, they're starting to fall into that trap of charging microtransactions, loot boxes, and all these other things. A few of the other big game companies are also starting to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why... Excuse me. I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing this move away from AAA titles for more indie games and smaller studio development projects.
Yeah.
Because they're more thought out. They're not made with the intention of making an ungodly amount of money.
Yeah, they're passion projects.
They're passion projects, and then when they release them, people love them. They want more.
Yeah.
And they release these games for cheap, sometimes $10, $15, and people can't stop buying them.
Yeah.
And then they make a second one, and people are like, oh, wait, we got to get this. And then they'll ask for the soundtrack, and then and people will support your work if it's worth it.
Yeah. Just like, I think one of the only big game companies that doesn't do that is Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo's been quite tame about the whole microtransactions and loot box thing. To my knowledge, there's no games off the top of my head, and this could be completely wrong, of course, but off the top of my head, I don't know of any modern Nintendo games that are made by Nintendo.
You are tired today.
I know, I'm yawning so much, I apologize. But I don't know of any mainstream games made by Nintendo that says, yes, you have a paywall to get through this.
Like Smash Bros. When they release a new character. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pay for that character. You just get it.
No, you gotta pay for it.
What, you do?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're DLC fighters.
Oh, dang. But you're not getting just one fighter.
No, so...
Generally.
You can buy the pass, and the pass is like $20, but it comes with like 5 fighters, I think it is.
Yeah.
And each fighter on their own is $5 or $6. Mm-hmm. So... Of course, DLC, I believe, should be paid in some regards because you're adding extra content to the game and it took work and it's more, I think there should be some kind of subsidy for that.
Yeah.
However, what I have problems with is when I get a game and there's stuff already in the game and it says, to unlock this, buy the deluxe edition, or to unlock this, buy the ultimate edition.
Yeah.
And that's oh my God, you want to talk about price gouging. Games themselves, it used to be $60 would get you a game and it would come with everything ready to go from the start.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
And then if you wanted to, you could pay $70, but that would also get you the season pass, which would give you all the DLC for that $10 extra price tag.
Yeah.
Now it's, all right, we have our standard edition, which is $60, which doesn't come with hardly anything. Then you've got the deluxe edition, which can range anywhere from $80 to $90, which has a couple of these cool things and a season pass.
Yeah.
And then you have the ultimate edition, which is like $100+, which comes with season pass, all those cool things previously mentioned, and even more cool things that you can't have otherwise.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've never been too much of a person to gripe about the collector's editions, which is the like $150, $200 plus collection items. Mm-hmm. Those are for your diehard fans who are looking for like memorabilia for that particulars. If you want to spend that, that's all for it. But when I have a problem with a game saying, here's a $60 upfront price, and in order to unlock everything that the game has to offer, you need to pay an additional $40.
Yeah, that's not okay. Because you've already paid $60.
Right. And, of course, if there's a DLC over the course of a period, like let's say you release 4 DLCs and they're all $10. I will happily pay for those 4 extra DLCs for $10 over the course of whenever you release them. Mm-hmm. I have a problem with if the standard game comes with all this content and I can only access half of it for $60. Yeah. That's a problem. And I think it's a good rule of thumb to say $1 per hour. If you can get 60 hours out of a game that costs you $60, that's good value. That's more than enough value. Mm-hmm. Right? The problem is you're getting gated. And a lot of games, especially your AAA titles, aren't good anymore. They're copy and paste of the previous editions. They take out the things that made the previous editions good. They add new things which are beneficial, but it's like, at what cost?
Yeah. I'm
paying more for this horrible content.
Exactly,
poorly thought out, poorly executed, bugs, crashes day one, things that are... things that should have been fixed way before release was even a forethought.
Oh, exactly. Like I said, Sims is a very good example of this because, the base game. As soon as the base game came out, they didn't even have swimming pools. Like, pools have always been in Sims. The original Sims. Base game pack. You could get a pool. But you couldn't in the original Sims 4. I think it took 3 updates before we got that. And then, a lot of the expansion packs are broken as soon as we get them. Like, one of the latest ones, Eco Living. Because, they let the YouTube Simmers get first release. That way it gets all the other Simmers excited. And they were showing these apartments, and some of them had balconies, and they were building on those balconies. And then as soon as everyone else gets the pack, you can't place anything on the balcony. So there's no point in having it. And when questioned, they're like, oh yeah, there was this glitch where they would walk, the people who were trying to visit your sim would walk through the house and then knock on the patio door. And so they just got rid of it completely instead of trying to fix it.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with games introducing microtransactions.
Yeah. Because
they're relying on the customer to spend all this extra money for content that they should have already had access to. And because of that, the content they have released is poorly thought out, poorly executed, riddled with bugs and glitches that are just unbearable in some cases, and that can really just hinder what you're doing. And it ruins the experience, right?
Yeah.
When I buy a game, I'm doing it because it's something I enjoy, it's something I think I'll have fun with, and it's something I think I'll get my money's worth out of.
Exactly.
I have problems when I don't have any of those things.
Yeah.
Right? I have no problem buying a $60 game for 15 to 20 hours of enjoyment if it's good.
But it's so hard to find a good game nowadays.
Right.
Because it's all about money.
Right. And that's, again, why I think a lot of people are moving to smaller studios to support, or people within the larger studios are leaving and making their own, because they're recognizing they, as game developers, don't want this. It's the CEOs and the bigwigs who are saying, we need all these microtransactions, we need these loot boxes in order to make money off our game. When in reality, had they just made a good game to begin with,
they would have made so much money because
right.
They couldn't keep it in store.
Right, and people are not afraid to buy games that are well made, that have thought, that went into depth of whatever the concept they were trying to explore was. I think one of the biggest letdowns in recent times that a lot of people would know about is a game called Anthem. It was supposed to be this next generation robot suit, open world exploration. They showed off this beautiful trailer at E3 and with in-game footage, and it looked beautiful, it looked amazing. The world looked alive, everything looked HD quality. It looked like you could be there. And then the game came out. It was awful. It was nothing like what they showed.
Oh, of course not.
It was downgraded beyond belief. Nothing matched up with what the trailer showed, nor did the actual in-game footage did it match up. And they've been trying to keep that game alive for a while now. And this comes back to, it goes full circle what we were just saying. They made a game under the pretense of making money, and they released one that was so bad that no one bought it. And now they're having to play catch up, trying to fix all the issues that should have been fixed before it was released.
Exactly.
And this is all part of the problem with microtransactions. You're stemming from an area of money versus quality. And when you're releasing something based on the idea of getting a quantity of money or meeting a sales point or meeting a product movement, you end up with crappier quality products that your customer is going to flag, say this is bad, it's not worth the buy, refund it if you can, and you just ruin your reputation, your credibility, and people are less likely to buy your game. Now, with that being said, there are also those diehard series that people are always going to buy no matter what. Sims, Call of Duty, just big games in general with big names behind them. People are always going to buy them because they love the series. However, there are more and more people getting fed up with the microtransactions, with games putting money before the player, before quality of game starts to suffer, and people are starting to leave, and they're not supporting as much. And part of the problem is we, as the consumer, let it happen to an extent because we continue to support these guys even when they started doing all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
See, when I was a kid, my favorite games were Ubisoft games like the Tom Clancy games or the Rayman Rabbids, which is another Ubisoft title. I love those games because they were well thought out. They gave you benefits for buying the game. They let you have all this fun. There was no content locked behind any paywalls. And then somewhere along the line, it just dropped off.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you and your games as a kid, but a lot of the games I played were all fully complete. There was no extra DLC that you had to buy or any extra packages you had to buy in order to access the full game.
Yeah. Because originally with Sims, it was, here's this great game, and if you want more, here's something you can add on, but it's still a complete game without the add-ons. But that's not the case anymore.
Right, and I don't know much about Sims, but when I think of a game that's supposed to simulate life to an extent, I think that's what it is. It's a life sim.
Yeah.
Right. I expect certain building materials. If I'm trying to build a house, I'm expecting certain kind of scenes that I can set myself in. Snowy, mountaintop, beach, all that already. I'm expecting a lot of things from the start, which Sims doesn't even give you to begin with at all.
No, you have to pay $20 for each thing you just asked for.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you go to different YouTube simmers, like, oh, these must have mods for realistic gameplay, we should not have to rely on the mods.
Yeah,
like, skin
it's
swatches. There's one swatch that makes your sim look like a kidney bean. It's terrible.
Kidney bean.
Yes, the color of a kidney bean. And they think that's acceptable.
That's not good.
It's really not.
But again, this goes full circle. Quality has gone down because they're trying to make money rather than a product.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And I think this goes into kind of what I want to talk about is just my gripes in general.
Yeah.
We've talked about microtransactions a lot. Loot boxes are also a problem, but I toss those in under microtransactions because you have to pay for them to open them. And it's a form of gambling, let's be real. You're getting random prizes for money.
Yeah. Pay $100 for the possibility of this cool skin and you get the potato sack.
Yeah, pretty much. And those are two gripes that I have. The other gripes that I have in general are when games get shown off, right? At E3 or whenever a game gets announced, they always have this in-game footage trailer or some kind of cinematic trailer that they release. Cinematic trailers, we can lower expectations a little bit because it is cinematic. It's not meant to be actual in-game stuff, so it kind of suspends disbelief a little bit, and we can say, okay, that's a cool cinematic. I like the concept of what I've seen, but now I need to see in-game stuff. Right, for games who come out with in-game stuff, it's very hard for us when we see these amazing games with dynamic environments, dynamic lighting, awesome gunplay, or awesome cover-based stuff, or the ability to build anything, or you know, they all have all these huge promises, and then when they release it, it's been downgraded completely from what they offered.
Oh, exactly.
And I don't know why. What's the point of developing a game? Especially a game trailer and in-game footage where you have this huge open expansive world that's well fleshed out, well thought out, good action, good dynamics. You have all these things that you show off and you don't put anything in the final product. Where did it all go? Did you just make this small section copy of the game and add all this extra stuff in?
All the budget went on the trailer.
Yeah, or like seriously though, it concerns me that they take a section of the game, they copy and paste it, make it look extremely nice, say, hey, look, here's our game. And then when they get to the actual game, the one they're actually working on, they just say, oh yeah, we never put any of that in there. Here's the actual game.
Yeah.
And it ruins my trust in the companies because these AAA companies in general are trying to make too much money instead of making a product that would make them money to begin with.
It's a scam.
It is. And it's a problem. And a lot of the games I've been playing recently are not AAA. Most of them are indie, and the few that aren't are AA studios. And they blow these games out of the water. They have no microtransactions. They make games that are high quality, high whatever it is you're looking for.
Like deep lore games? That's what I like.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of stuff out there that meet all these requirements, all these checkboxes that people look for in a good game. And if you read the reviews, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. And like these games are getting extreme reviews. Hundreds of thousands of people are buying them, sometimes even millions, and they're not even a AAA studio. Mm-hmm. Then you get to these AAA studios. They make these crap games. Still the same number of people buy them because they love the series. But then they keep losing people every year. Because they keep trying to scam the people who are interested in their product.
Exactly. And it's so easy to falsely advertise nowadays. Like for people who like to play games on their phone, like that Lily's Garden one, mm-hmm. those ads, that is nothing like the gameplay at all. I'm pretty sure Lily's Garden is you do like a little Bejeweled thing, mini game to earn money, and you renovate a garden. There's virtually no storyline whatsoever. But they advertise it as something that's completely different. And
that's kind of concerning to me because I know where you're coming from, right? Mobile games in general have been doing this for a while now where they falsely advertise what their game's about or what the quality of the game looks like or what actually happens in-game or whatever it may be. And I think that's kind of where the larger companies took a note from because mobile games in general have always had microtransactions in them because they're mobile games. You're meant to pay either nothing or 99 cents for them. And then in-game, you're meant to pay an additional anywhere from $0 to $100 depending on how much you're in love with this game.
Which, you're never in love with those games.
No. Realistically,
they're
no one is.
They're mobile games to pass the time.
Right. And AAA companies took that onto themselves to say, yes, we can make this high-quality game with potential and then add all that stuff in there and then just ruin it completely.
Yeah, like, I recently downloaded one where it was home renovation, which I don't... where you have like a little game, mini games to earn money, and then you can renovate the house. Which I don't mind if like you click on you finish the thing, you want to double your coins, watch an ad. That's completely fine. But as soon as I watch an ad and you take me back to where I'm renovating, why didn't I just get 3 more ads?
Yeah.
Are you not making enough money off of me?
Yeah, and ads and product placement, and that's another big thing is that even modern games, AAA titles and others. You're starting to see product placement in-game now.
Yeah.
One of the most notable ones that I can think of off the top of my head is Death Stranding. It wasn't a game that was well-received, but it had very obvious product placement. At one point, there's literally a whole thing of Mountain Dew, I want to say. No, it's not Mountain Dew. It's Monster Energy.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole table of Monster Energy cans, and you can pick whichever one you want and drink it, and it shows the Monster Energy label as he's drinking it, and it's very obvious product placement.
Yeah.
No one cares. When I buy a game, I don't do it because I want to see more of the stuff that's around me in real life. I do it because I want something to enjoy, something to take my mind off of the stress.
Like escapism.
Yeah, it's escapism in a sense. But I think that's true for anything that's a hobby for anyone.
Yeah.
Or something that people like to do.
Yeah. Just like, if you're reading a book about a dystopian society... You don't want to hear that there's a McDonald's still in this dystopian society.
No.
Like, some things just don't make sense as product placement. Like, isn't Death Stranding apocalyptic?
Yeah, it's, I don't know the story very well because of how obscure the game is, but you're pretty much a delivery guy, and there's these things in another realm that chase you, and you can't see them, but if they grab you, they pull you into it. It's really weird.
Yeah, okay. But isn't that the one where they have to have, like, the baby strapped to them?
Yes, that's the one with the baby strapped to them.
The one that Rick and Morty made fun of?
They
made fun of it.
Okay.
They talked about eating the baby.
I guess there are some benefits to those kind of games. But no, and then you have other games which follow the free-to-play model.
Yeah.
And those games are hit or miss. You have some of them which make amazing quality games. They're free-to-play. And you can do whatever you want in them as long as you're willing to put in the time.
Yeah.
Problem is, with those, the ones who make the amazing quality games, they put behind this huge time wall where it takes you forever to get that one little thing you need to progress.
Yeah.
So something that should normally take you, if it was an actual full retail game for $60, something that should take you an hour takes you a day.
Oh, God. No. No.
Yeah, and...
I do not have a whole day.
Yeah, and it gets frustrating because you find these high-quality games for free, and you're like, yes, They need to make money somehow, yes, but they don't need to put behind these giant paywalls or these giant time walls where they incentivize you to pay.
Yeah. I think the only time you should ever really have to pay for those is if you want a specific skin.
Right, and
you don't feel like doing the work to unlock it.
Right, and a lot of companies are starting to do that where they say, okay, what if we make games that are perfectly fine and we have cosmetics?
Yeah.
Right? You can pay whatever you want for these cosmetics. We have set prices, yada, yada, yada. However, they don't affect gameplay. They don't affect you. They don't affect anyone else. If you want it, you can buy it. And then some games, like you were saying, also have that option, but then they say, if you're just willing to play our game normally and just go through it, you can unlock it in-game. Mm-hmm. And of course, the people who are impatient or other things like that are going to say, and then they'll go ahead and buy it anyway. Mm-hmm. But those are much safer practices than the predatory stuff we've seen from companies recently.
Yeah. Like, that one mobile app, I think it's like Choices or Episodes. There's a lot of ones exactly like that where you're following a storyline and you choose what you get, like what your options are. Mm-hmm. Like if you do this, it affects the game. If you don't do this, it affects the game. Well, the overall outcome. But you have to pay for the fun options.
Oh my.
No, not like that. But like if you want to change your character's outfit to give you like a boost, like say you're doing a heist and you don't want to wear, I don't know, sneakers and a hoodie, and you want to look like an actual spy. You have to pay like 30 diamonds, and 30 diamonds cost $5.
Right.
So, it's not really worth it. Like I said, I don't want to pay $5 for a mobile game that I'm just playing on my lunch break so I can, get a whole hour.
Right. But with that being said, because all the predatory practices that have started up recently, I wouldn't say recently, this has been something that's kind of been slowly creeping up. And it's more or less something we've ignored as people who like games. Mm-hmm. There is a silver lining. Yeah. Because so many people have been outraged and have made their voices heard about how they hate these practices, how these things are bad for the industry, and things like that. Companies are starting to go away from it now.
That's good.
And they're starting to go back to, hey, we're making this great quality game. Forget about those guys who are still trying to scam you with microtransactions or loot boxes or lying to you with their game trailers or any of those things. Come over here with a product that we've promised. It looks exactly how we've shown it. It has no microtransactions. It has no loot boxes. Everything you can earn can be earned through in-game progress. It's not going to put you behind a paywall. It's not going to put you behind any kind of time wall. You are free to do whatever you want. You just have to do the one-time payment. So many more companies are starting to do that now. And as a result, more people are flocking to them. And larger companies and companies who are trying to practice those malintent business practices are losing business.
Good.
And I agree. Good.
They need to learn.
You can't try to scam the people who support your product. Anything else you want to say about that?
Oh, not really, no.
All right. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Dumb Thoughts, Smart Talks podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for hanging out with us.